Welcome back to another Yes, I'm Adopted, Don't Make It Weird. Today we're going to be talking about taking initiative. Why taking initiative is sometimes hard for adoptees specifically, and how sometimes that ties into self-worth issues.
You mean all the time?
Most all times, everything ties into self-worth issues.
But first, before we get into that, we just wanted to thank you guys so much for partnering up with us. If you find value in anything that we're doing, whether it's the podcast, whether it's the group, whether it's this show right here, we want to invite you guys to partner with us at yesimadopted.com/support. We have this thing that we are doing called the tip jar. It's $5 a month. It is a monthly donation, a monthly support from you guys that helps keep the show running and all the other fun things that we're doing. So if you find value in today's episode, please make sure to go check that out and just read up on what it is that we're doing. Let's get into it now. That was it for the commercial. Commercial time is over. Yeah, that was our 30-second ad spot.
Oh. This episode of Yes, I'm Adopted brought to you by Yes, I'm Adopted. Don't make it weird /support.
So, taking initiative
is hard.
It is.
Right.
Like, just in general I think for our generation, at least, it seems like.
Right.
Generationally, it seems like millennials have had a hard time taking initiative on stuff.
Right.
We're constantly looking for identity and people telling us what it is that we're supposed to do, and then we get mad at them because they told us what we're supposed to do.
How dare you define me? Right? Like this definitely, I think this definitely falls into one of those like 80-20 categories.
Yes,
right?
for sure.
Where like where everybody has this.
Uh-huh.
Like especially as teenagers, like we have this period where it's just like you can't tell me what to do. You can't ever tell me what to. I'm not doing that. Or like I know we've talked about this before, where so many of us, even to this day, have this thing where like I was gonna do it, and then you said I had to do it.
100,000% me.
And now I'm not doing it anymore. Like I just refuse.
I had to explain that to my wife, and she was like, that's the dumbest thing ever.
Which is absolutely
and
true.
I'm like, I know it is. I'm so sorry.
But it's gonna keep happening.
Yeah,
we're working on it. We're getting better.
I'm trying.
Right?
Yeah.
So specifically, I think here I'm talking to, like, I'd be talking to teenage me. Right? Like, getting a job me.
Teenage adoptees. Get a job.
Get a job. Was like, man, I wanted... So here's the dichotomy, right? Like, as a teenager, I wanted so much freedom. Like, I really wanted to just be on my own and leave me alone. But you also need, like, money. And in order to get that money, you have to get a job. But in order to get a job, you have to take some initiative and go get a job.
It's so hard.
And I never did that.
Right?
Like, I always defaulted into like, my first 10 jobs were jobs that were just places that my dad shopped a lot. Or, like, my first job was bussing tables at the restaurant he ate breakfast at every day. Yeah. Because he was there one day eating breakfast and was just like, hey, you need somebody to bus tables, like, on the weekends? And they were like, yeah. It's like, my son will do it. And they were like, okay. And I was hired.
That's how you got the job. Yep.
And that was most of my jobs through college. It was just like, my parents had gone to play. Like, I worked at Sherwin-Williams for a couple of years. But it was because my mom and my dad went in there to paint some stuff and ran into a guy that I knew in high school that was working there. And we're just like, hey, are you guys hiring? And he's like, yeah, just send him in to get. So I went in for an interview because my parents asked. And that is so millennial. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I'm so ashamed of this.
I know it's bad. My first marketing gig I got was at my dad's company because he owned the company. I wasn't even good.
Right?
I wasn't good at it. Like, I did some website stuff, but I was not good. I was still learning. The first job that I got was actually at McDonald's, though. And the only reason I did that is because my parents forced me. I did not want to do it. I did not want to get a job. They're like, you're 15. You're going to be getting a car here soon. Right. You need a job. And so they basically forced me to get this job. And then I stopped showing up. I never officially quit. I never officially got fired. I might still be on their paperwork.
You might be on the payroll there.
Yeah.
You should check. You should just go clock in.
Because, nothing ever happened. I just stopped showing up. Because it was terrible. was awful. It was so
right. Like that's our. You're absolutely right. That's our generation as a
Yeah.
whole. But then like I can trace that back to me looking at like It's the same thing with the papers in middle school and high school. Like I would do them. I
Yep.
was good. I did good work. I
Yep.
just never turned it in because that was a level of control that I can have. And like I probably could have applied for like jobs that I would have loved
right.
at the time and gotten them. On the merits of my work ethic and on the merits of what I was capable of.
Right.
But instead, I bagged groceries and I bussed tables and I and did all these like
Because your parents asked.
because my parents just asked while they were
Yeah.
there and I had no like what would have seemed like ambition
Right.
to do anything more. But it really was a lack of initiative, and I think for me it's because I just wanted to control every aspect of that because I didn't see myself as worth
Right.
those really great jobs.
Right.
Right.
Me neither. Like I had a really hard time with that, and that took me well into my 20s to understand my worth. I was constantly questioning it, and so for the longest time, I would just do the thing that I was doing because that's what I did.
Right.
And even though I was tired of it, even though I didn't like what I was doing, it didn't matter. But I didn't feel like I could branch out and try something different.
Right.
I was terrified of it because, I'm like, I'm not good enough at it. I'm not smart enough. I don't have, the... Why are you laughing at me?
It's the opposite of the Al Franken thing.
Yeah.
It's like, you're not good enough.
Yep.
You're not smart enough. And doggone it, people hate you.
Yep. I mean, it's true. Like, that was my thought process. I had such a hard time with that for the longest time. Doggone it, people hate you.
That should not be as funny to me as it was. Oh, man.
But, I mean, that was well into my 20s.
Right.
That I really started figuring out my self-worth. And it didn't matter. And this is a hard one, right? Because it didn't matter how many times people told me.
Right.
Like, my parents, my wife, my friends and family and stuff like that, it didn't matter how many times they told me because in my head, I'm really stubborn, first of all. I don't know how many adoptees out there are stubborn.
I don't know what you're talking about.
But in my head, I already made up the scenario that I was not good enough.
Right.
And nobody else could break me out of that. I don't know, was it like that for you, or did you...
I don't know that I ever would have called it like I see it as a self-worth thing now.
Right.
But for me, I would have defined it then as control issues.
Right.
But I mean, it's absolutely still there. Like it's absolutely a
Yep.
I still have control issues, but it's still a self-worth thing too, because I can see it from the other side of it now.
Yeah.
Right? So like looking back in retrospect, like the hardest thing really over the last probably decade for I think both of us has been doing all of this.
Yeah.
Has been starting the businesses and getting things running and really honestly being willing to self-promote and be like, look,
I'm so bad at it.
what we do is worthwhile and it's good and we're really proud of it. Like it's been so hard to be really proud of the stuff we do. And we could trace a lot of that back to psychological rejection as infants and stuff like that. But
trauma brain and stuff.
And all of that is perfectly valid in there. But it's also a generational thing as far as like our whole millennials are just like that. And then like I was a big nerd in school, so that hasn't changed either. And and so, never being like a popular kid or that cool or whatever is like, okay, what is the work I do really worth, or what are my ideas really worth?
Yeah.
And to come to a point where we're willing to say, yeah, what we do is worthwhile, and join it or invest in it or see it as worthwhile to the point where we're willing to charge people for it, right?
Yeah.
Like with production or with consulting or those sorts of things.
Yep.
Has been a really significant shift. And it's
been a hard one.
because we've made that shift now, or at least started to.
Right.
I can look back on previous me and be like, that guy. Part of his issue is he just doesn't see value in himself.
Yes.
Like, I just didn't see that.
Yep.
And now I do. And it's interesting, that psychological concept as well, that like the changed mind is the most like evangelical about it.
Right.
Right. Like people that go from iPhone to Android. are all about Android and vice versa,
Yeah.
right? They go back and forth.
Yep.
But when you go back to one or the other, like you take that position as a hard stance. And so as we've started to make this shift from like no self-worth to self-worth, it's kind of gotten to the point where like I'm annoyingly egotistical about it.
I know. I got such a huge ego. It's terrible. I'm like, everybody should listen to the things that I say always. And just do what I say. It's so bad.
It's super douchey. Like I have said some of the most douchey things.
Right? Yep.
On this side of it, but I'm gonna be honest. Like I acknowledge that that's what they are, but I would much rather be the person that sees worth in what we do and who we are,
right,
than the previous person who never got anything done.
Yeah, I mean, adoptees, we constantly deal with rejection issues. You know, whether it's there or not, it's in our mind, and sometimes that's the only place it is in our mind.
Right.
We're afraid people are going to reject us, and so, you know, we either don't try,
right,
because we don't want to be rejected, or we're just too terrified to step out and do anything.
Right.
And it's so hard. Because, you know, like a lot of people have that mindset, you know, like I was rejected as a child, and so, you know, I was given up for adoption, and that trauma does not go away.
Right.
Without you really taking the time to face it head on. And a lot of people don't.
Right. I literally just realized just now that all those jobs, my parents basically guaranteed me the job before I went for the interview. Right? So there was no risk. There was never a risk involved of rejection with any of those positions.
Yeah.
Because I knew I was going to get the job.
Yep.
So there was no risk involved. Oh my gosh.
Again, that's why I started out at my dad's company.
But like there's that level now that I literally just realized just now as we're talking about it. That
funny,
like
man.
all these things that were like even the initiatives that we did take, there's so much rejection issue there that for me it was, if it's not guaranteed, I'm not even going to try.
Right.
Right? And all of those things were guaranteed. They'd already said yes, or they'd already given me the job, or whatever.
Yeah.
I just had to go through the motions. And,
I mean, how long did it take us to get past the starting phase of like AGA Productions? Because we're so terrified to put it out there and talk to people about it.
Years.
Like we got all the equipment, we had all the practice, we had the skills and the talent and the people. But it took us so long to actually start putting ourselves out there because, I don't know, self-worth issues, there were other people doing it. Like, we kept saying, oh, we can do that better. Oh, we're so much better than this person that did that. We just wouldn't do it. We wouldn't take the initiative to go out there and start the conversation.
Right.
And then we finally got somebody who started talking to people and who was really good at it because he wasn't adopted.
Right. And then he went and started his own business, which is doing way better than ours is now. And we support that.
Yeah,
you're doing a great job.
We love you, Clamps. Good job, buddy. Thanks for abandoning us again. Making us feel all those emotions.
Sad. So, I mean, those are just our thoughts in brief concerning initiative taking and adoption and adoptees specifically. I kind of we kind of took a detour into self-worth issues and that sort of thing, as well as rejection, fear of rejection. So join us on the podcast.
Yeah, we're going to talk more about it there.
On Thursday, where we'll probably take a little more of an in-depth look and discussion about all of these things all wrapped up in one and maybe be slightly entertaining.
We'll try. Just a little bit.
Maybe.
So, thank you guys for joining us. As always, please make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Make sure to go to yesimadopted.com. You could see the podcast. You could see the resource center. We have our merch line up and running on there. We've gotten a lot of people buying shirts and hoodies, which has been really cool.
Yeah.
We're going to ask you guys this. If you have a hoodie or a shirt, I want you guys to take a selfie with it. Throw it down in the comments if you're comfortable enough, or if not, go ahead and send it to us. Just,
Drop us a DM or something, and we might ask for your permission to be able to post it. And if you want us to blur out your face, we will. Just a little bit. Maybe. They're all gonna be you. Just you're just gonna be face blurred out.
It's just me wearing all the different shirts.
Yeah. It's gonna be great.
Look how many people bought the
What?
shirt.
It's so crazy. We'll just put like a green screen and change like backgrounds. They're in Antarctica wearing our shirt. They're penguins.
It's amazing.
How'd they get on Hoth? I don't understand.
Fantastic.
So thank you guys so much. We look forward to talking to you guys on the podcast and also this weekend update. Yeah. We're going to be heading to LA this weekend. We are going to be doing the weekend update live. We are connecting with a bunch of other Korean adoptees at a Connect a Kid seminar. It's going to be awesome. We're going to be going to the Korean consulate's house. Home, estate, whatever they call it.
Whatever the coolest word for that is.
Yeah, mansion. We're going to the mansion for the Korean consulate. So we are super excited about that. We will see you guys on the podcast and the weekend update. As always, this is my outro.
This is your outro now.
Yep.
You're just gonna flip a peace sign.
Peace out, Girl Scout.